Where there's smoke, there's fire. The wildfire alarm pulling on Capitol Hill yesterday may remind you of The Office. Now Republicans are sounding the alarm, pushing for Democrat Jamaal Bowman to be held accountable for pulling the fire alarm right before a vote was held on the spending bill.
We'll have a full investigation, but think about how other people were punished who they believe done something wrong inside that Capitol.
The guy was a principal. He knows what a fire alarm is. The way it looks right now with the video, it's pretty indisputable that he knew exactly what he was doing.
It sounded like obstructing official proceedings, but they did all kinds of tactics to slow it down because they wanted the Ukraine funding.
Well, that's absolutely ridiculous. Is he going to be held accountable for obstructing an official proceeding?
He better be, because that's exactly what happened on January 6th, according to Biden's Justice Department. So let's see how they treat their own.
But fellow squad member Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is coming to Bowman's rescue with some predictable spin. Let's check it out.
I mean, listen, I think if you actually do see some of the photos of the signs, the exits that are normally open in that building were suddenly closed. They're filing a motion to expel a member who, in a moment of panic, was trying to escape a vestibule. They are protecting someone who has not only committed wire fraud, not only defrauded veterans, not only lied to congressional investigators, but is openly gloating about it, is absolutely humiliating to the Republican caucus. And I think that they should really check their own values.
So, Dagan, I guess the development from yesterday is that what we learned, I was on Fox and Friends this morning, what I learned from Markwayne Mullin is that the timing was so specific here. The White House was telling Democrats, stall the vote. All right. The Democrats are trying to stall the vote because if Schumer drops the bill on the Senate floor, it doesn't stop. In other words, that would necessitate a shutdown. So what I really find atrocious about this is not just how horrible of a person Jamaal Bowman has to be to pull a fire alarm to stall a vote, but the idea that Democrats were willing to do that to create a shutdown so they could blame it on Republicans.
He would rather, what was the statement that he made? I was rushing to make a vote. I came to a door that's usually open for votes, but today would not open. I'm embarrassed to admit that I activated the fire alarm. He's willing to admit he's so stupid that he pulled a fire alarm, that rather than admit that he did it to stall the vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of calling them the squad now, we're just going to call them the 9 circles of hell. Because that appears to be what's going on here. But Jamaal Bowman has referred to the TikTok ban, or the effort to ban TikTok, as racist and xenophobic. We're creating a red scare around China. I could sit here for the remainder of this hour and recount some of the things that he said. But the fact that AOC feels the need to play cleanup for him is intensely laughable.
Hey, you take care of your squad. That's part of her squad. That's the sole male member of the squad.
8 other circles of hell.
Doc, I want to go to you on this. So we had this representative in Georgia, Hank Johnson, unfortunately still up there. He sat one time in front of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and asked if Guam might flip over because they put too many service members on one side of it. His excuse for being that stupid was that he was on painkillers or something. He was a little bit kind of loopy. Is there any chance that maybe Jamaal Bowman has some sort of medical excuse for being this stupid? Let me read what he said. This was his best excuse, the best he could conjure. This is a politician. They sometimes make up lies for a living, and this is what he has to say. I want to be very clear. This was not me in any way trying to delay a vote. It was the exact opposite. I was trying urgently to get to a vote, which I ultimately did, and joined my colleagues in a bipartisan effort to keep our government open. What possible excuse?
Well, that just sounds like words of a politician, doesn't it? I don't know if you need that could also be a medical illness. But, to Dagan's point, listen, the way that I see this, I work in a hospital. I come upon a lot of locked doors If you are doing what he did, you're either dumb. AOC says, well, it was he was in a panic, and so therefore he did it, and so therefore he's dumb enough that in a panic, because that's how he handles those situations, not sure he should be representing our nation. So he's either actually dumb, he's lazy, he's so lazy he can't just go find another door, because I'm certain there are more doors to get out of than just that one, or he wanted to delay the vote. But you know what, honestly, we're not going to, unless he sent a text message to his chief of staff or some of his colleagues that he wants to delay the vote, we're probably not going to know. So we know that either we have a very dumb congressman or he tried to delay the vote. And, you know, if they're going to hold others accountable for similar offenses, hopefully this continues to gain some attention.
Jason, I think that's the conversation comes to you. You have insight into how this can be handled. There's two paths here. There's an investigation by Capitol Hill Police. There's also what Kevin McCarthy may be able to do. As we saw in the intro there, he says he's going to look into it. He says he's going to ask Hakeem Jeffries to look into it, which I think is kind of funny. But is there an ethics committee? Is there something that they can do within the ethics of Congress here?
So the ethics committee is balanced, 5 people and 5 people. But look, Congressman Bowen, I was a congressman for 8.5 years. And I got to tell you, if you look at where he's actually pulling, that's just a wall.
Yeah.
There are no other options. There's not a door there. That is simply a fire alarm. And for the former school principal, he knew exactly what he was doing. Now, I want to put up the side-by-side. Look closely at that photo, because that photo is different than, whoops, those are not the right side-by-sides. So if you look at it and you look at the two, the media rushed over to see what he saw. And those 2 red signs are not in the still photo of the congressman pulling the fire alarm.
They've been moved.
So the question is, roll the videotape. So if you look on the right-hand side, see those 2 on the in the background? Yeah. Those are not in the picture on the left. Why not? And so why did the Capitol Hill Police just release a still photo? I want to see the whole video from the moment he comes up to that door. Now, let's also keep in mind, this was roll call vote number 513. That means it's the 513th time this Congress has voted on the floor of the House. Are you telling me this is the first time you didn't know how to get to the floor of the House? For the 513th time they had to call a vote, you suddenly had to pull the alarm? Oh, how convenient your excuse is. To Nicole's point, he knew exactly.
And on top of all this, there is a tunnel that'll take you straight to the Capitol.
That's right.
So.
No, on top of the irretrievable stupidity in all of this, you know, there are cameras everywhere.
Yeah, that's really the link.
In the Capitol building,
all right.
And eyewitnesses everywhere.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.